What's up, everybody? Welcome to Theocracy. I am your host, Theo Snodgrass. Happy September, everybody. This is it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Looks like the highs for this week are going to be in the 80s. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. It was 120 degrees out here. I moved to Las Vegas right as summer was starting, which is not. Don't do that if you love yourself. If you're a person who likes who you are and you enjoy being happy, don't do stuff like that. It's a bad choice. It's a bad choice. It was a good choice for me. It's probably a bad choice for you. I have a very tender complexion, so I spent most of the last 3 months inside. That's why I'm like this. A weird person. So that's pretty exciting. Kind of a slow news week, right? I'm kidding, of course. We've got a lot of stuff we're going to get into. Um, Sponsor this half hour. Smart Water. Smart Water. Do you want water that it makes you feel better than other people and costs more? Smart Water. Yeah. No, it's been rad. I It's been a tough couple weeks. By the way, I'm going to be traveling. So next Theocracy is on Thursday, and then I'm going to be taking a break uh, from streaming for a bit. So I'm going to take a couple weeks off. I got a couple of weddings to go to. It's weird being okay. So here's the thing. I knew I was going to be the last one of my friends to get married, and I knew it was going to happen around this time because I'm 34 now. So that's knocking on the door of middle age, not being a young, cool dude anymore, right? Like now it's like serious shit is happening. So I am going to be attending 4 weddings in like a 6-month period. One of them I already went to. It was a super solemn wedding at a Catholic church. It was like not lit. Don't get me wrong. It's Catholic weddings can be lit. It just depends. Like the Polish Catholics tend to be a little more stern. And then the Irish and the Italian Catholics, there's a lot more drinking and hugging in that. So same with the Mexican Catholics. Mexican Catholics are, if I had to do a tier list of Catholics that know how to party, it would be Mexican Catholics number 1. And Italian and Irish are kind of neck and neck. Depends. And then Polish Catholics are going to be way at the bottom. They're more... They don't use facial expressions. So it's like, it's hard to tell if they're happy or not. Anyway, so I went to a bunch of these weddings, and I knew I was going to be the last one of my friends to get married. I knew that already. But then now it's like happening, and it's like, oh fuck. And so then it's like, so yeah, so now I'm in this state of, existential self-examination, I guess, and taking a look at my life choices and seeing how that turned out. I mean, I'm happy for my friends for the most part. Most of them are marrying cool people. You know who you are. Some of you, I don't know. Most of you found cool people to marry, which is rad. Good for you. Very happy for you. But like attending a wedding is a trick. I go to these weddings and they put me on fucking man whore timeout, and they keep me like sectioned off, from the bridesmaids because they think I might cause a kerfuffle. And what's crazy is I had no intention of causing a kerfuffle, but now that I'm sectioned off from everybody else, it kind of makes me want to cause a kerfuffle. So I'm not going to cause a kerfuffle, by the way, but I might. I don't know. It's just like I'm going to be so much more likely to cause a kerfuffle if you tell me you don't want me to cause a kerfuffle. That's just how it is. That's just how I am as a person. I'm going to do what you're telling me not to do. And what's crazy is that makes me so easy to manipulate. It's like, from a reverse psychology perspective. And nobody ever does that. They always try to nag me into changing my behavior. And it's great. I don't know what it is about this country. This country kind of runs on nagging, and we're wondering why we have a bunch of young men becoming Nazis. When we have a whole country that runs on, we raise a whole we was a whole generation of. It's the problem with like millennial women. I think some of this is downstream of like millennials. Millennials are struggling with getting older. That's a lot of this. I think millennials have a hard time with like not being cool anymore. Like it hit me. Like I was like, fuck, man, I'm too old to be doing this shit. Like there's nothing quite so pathetic as like an aging playboy. You know what I mean? Like once you're over the hill. Like I had this moment, where I was like, you kind of look around at the club and you're like, you see the guy who's like 50 and he's like got Ricard Noir and he's still got. I actually saw a guy. This is actually a real guy that I saw, and he had a ponytail that was just barely hanging on. He was like 50 plus, and he's got pants that are way too tight, and his shirt is like buttons down to like the middle of his chest, and he's just got like gray chest pubes poking out, and he's like, "Whoa, I'm a cool guy." I was like, "Fuck, man!" It's like looking at the Ghost of Christmas Future. It was not good. It's like, "Fuck, man! I really got to change the direction of my life." If you hang around comedy enough, like everybody, so I'm 34. So for a Catholic person, I'm very old to not be married. But for a comedian, I'm right on schedule. Because they either get married in their 40s or they never get married. That's what happens. That's how it goes. So I opened for a headliner one time who was like 60 and married, and I watched him fucking, on a 22 kind of corner a 22-year-old waitress in the green room and hit on her. I watched it happen, and I was like, fuck, man. It's like, fuck, man. He's like, bro, I would have pulled that. And I was like, I don't think so. And I asked her about it later. I was like, yo, would you have smashed that guy? And she was like, fucking no. He's old. So I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to get to that point in my life and be, delusional about. It's like, I think there's something graceful about being able to let go when the time comes. And millennials are struggling with that right now. That's why we're all buying fucking Squishmallows and shit. Shout out to the people buying Squishmallows. But that's why we got we watch cartoons and, we just watch the TV shows that were cool when we were younger. And we're like, yeah, we're cool. We're still cool. We've still got it. We're still with it. And we're not. None of the children think we're cool. They think we're super lame, and we don't set the agenda for what's cool anymore. Like that's what got fucked up. I think these millennial white women who became teachers, and then they're just and they tried to like nag the students into thinking that the LGBTQ agenda was cool, and teenagers, as they have always done, decided we're going to do absolutely everything we can to piss off our teachers. And the teachers were like, whatever you do, don't be racist, don't be homophobic, don't be misogynistic, because that is the thing that will piss me off the most in the world. And that's the thing they chose to do. So that's the thing they chose to do, because they're going to do the thing that pisses off their teachers the most in the world. Because of course they are, because that's what teenagers have always done. That's the thing. So, yeah, millennials are on the struggle bus though. Like we can't deal with aging. I don't know. Part of this is growing up in America, which is like a youth obsessed culture. Like all the music is marketed at teenagers, all the cool like social trends and everything, because they have, historically at least, they had, a ton of disposable income and no bills. So they've just got, they just take money from their parents and like buy shit. So, yeah, it's like, it's crazy. It's, and I think not being like the target of what's cool and not getting what's cool anymore. I think it's a rite of passage. I think you should gracefully accept that you no longer understand what young people are into and what's cool. Like I try to keep in touch with, the trends, and I try to pay attention to what young people are paying attention to and try to listen. I think, but you see this as, I don't know, it's particularly, part of this is not having kids. I think that's part of it. It's hard to embrace the next life stage if you don't have kids. 'Cause I think a lot of us are getting to that time. We're like, no, I'm still slaying pussy, and it's like, all right, how much longer you want to do that? I think it's hard, especially for girls, because basically what we did is we told women, like, you're young and hot, and that's cool, and then after the age of 30, you're a garbage person and don't even show your face outside, you old hag. And it's like, that's rude. That's fucking rude. And we wonder why, women want to, continue to dress slutty, well into middle age. It's like, because we told them sluttiness was like the only way to be cool for a long time. That was the main cultural messaging. And we told them like motherhood was like a, something stupid and lame that you shouldn't do, and babies are gross and they puke on you, and ugh, gross. Who would want to bring new life into the world? That's gross. Who would want to do that? Ugh. That's lame. That's lame. You can be cool forever. You can be fucking Sarah Jessica Parker from Sex and the City, just rolling around the city getting ran through forever and barely do your job and still make enough money to get an apartment in New York City and all the shoes you want. And then you actually get into the fucking working world and you're like, this is ass. This is terrible. I hate this. This fucking sucks. Why would I want to spend all my time doing this fucking job? Because if you have a job that's good enough to pay for shit, then you have enough money to get clothes for work and a car to get you to the job and an apartment to sleep in when you're not at the job, and you spend all your time at the job. That's how you have a job that makes money. That's what you do. You have to spend all your fucking time doing that. And if you want to check out of that system, you have to, build your own shit. And if you want to build your own shit, here's what that means. You work some bullshit job, and then you spend 99% of your time doing the thing that you want to do to the point that it's exhausting and you hate it. And then eventually maybe it turns into something, or maybe it doesn't. And that's the way out of that. So, but if you look at like the sitcoms and stuff millennials were raised on, like How I Met Your Mother, what are those people ever at work? Wherever they just have a ton of money and a ton of free time to hang out at the bar on weeknights. It's programming. It's like, it's not cool. And also like the idea of like, serially dating like a million people until you eventually find them out. Realistically, you can date like 5 people seriously and actually like get to know them. The rest of it's just like recreational banging. And, sport fucking, if you will. That's what I call it. Sport fucking is just like a giant waste of time. It's a giant waste of time. I don't know. I think we made sport fucking seem really cool. And then dating apps kind of made it possible and then impossible as the market got really stratified. Now we got a bunch of like fucking Gen Z dudes who can't get laid to save their life, and a bunch of Gen Z women that are getting like passed around. So you got this huge asymmetry, and it's like, why can't I find my person? Because millennials fucked everything up. That's why you guys can't do anything. It's because we fucked everything up. It's completely millennials' fault. Worst generation. I can't stand I don't know what is worse. I don't know if it's like the spineless men that enabled the horrible nagging women, or the horrible nagging women that took the men's spines. I don't know which is worse. But we were raised in a school system that told us to sit down, shut up, and let women lead. And then we're surprised when there are no men who have leadership qualities in our generation. Yeah, crazy. It's encouraging to see. It's encouraging Gen Z men to see Gen Z men being so like sexist and racist and resistant to the Longhouse programming. Like, that's pretty encouraging. But yeah, we're gonna get into some stuff today. But like the fucking nagging never ends. It never ends, and we're gonna see. It's not only a millennial problem, but it's like predominantly a millennial problem. And it seems it's isolated to particularly like liberal white women. That's who's like mostly responsible. Was like liberal white millennial women, affluent, well-educated, no serious problems, no children. That's what's doing it. That's who's causing it. Instead of getting a dog like a normal person, what do? They just into the phone. That was a fun monologue. All right, let's get into the chat real quick. Let's see who's here. Scream Queen Salita's here. What's up, girl? How you doing? Green-haired anti-liberals here. What's up, girl? How you doing? Strider's here. What's up, girl? Oh, wait. You're a man. Just kidding. I'm sorry. That was my bad. You got to let that slide. That was my bad. I had 2 in a row, and we're just going to let that go. Strider, happy you're here. Strider's a man. Strider's 6'4", by the way. You guys don't know this about Strider. He's 6'4". So, ladies, hit him up. We're aware that's how you are as a person. Nobody asked you. Who invited you to this? Because too many women in charge, nagging inevitable, based. That's why I invited you. Okay, now I remember. I just got here. Wait, what's wrong with an old dude with a ponytail? Am I a target? No, you're not, Weasel. You're doing great. I think I was looking ahead at my future, and I was like, man, I don't still want to be like at the bar scene trying to show everybody how cool I am at 2 a.m. in like 20 years. I want to just. No, Weasel Theo has one too, and he's wearing shooting glasses. So these are blue light filter glasses. I'm not going to address the glasses anymore. I've gotten so much fucking pushback for these glasses. So now I'm stuck wearing them because I can't cave to you fuckers. I refuse to give in. This is just so my eyes don't get cooked. You know why? Because I spend so many hours staring at fucking screens to please you people. Vagabond is here. What's up, man? Not a lady. Yeah, all right. So did you guys see the Phillies Karen thing? That is actually gonna set the stage for what I'm talking about. I'm gonna show you a couple of different video clips of what happened. Basically, they're at a baseball game for a professional baseball game. So here's the rule: if a ball goes into the stands, then it's first come, first serve. There's usually a mad dash to grab it. Somebody grabs it. Woohoo! You get the ball. That's great. If it's a kid, it's great. Usually a kid gets it. That's great. It's a cool thing that happens. It happens sometimes. It's part of the fun of going to a baseball game. Anyway, so what you don't do is go nag the person who got it. It's first come first. It's whoever gets it gets it. That's the rule. You know, unless you're like super entitled like this lady. And so we're gonna see how that plays out. Go ahead. Wait, are you guys hearing that? Is there audio? There's no audio in this clip. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. All right, so this is kind of what's going on. This is where the center of the action is. I'm going to blow this up. Oh, no. There we go. Boop. There we go. There it is. See that? He got there first. That's what happened. He ran over. Oh, and he gave it to a kid. Uh-oh. What's this? Oh, did you see that? Did you see that reaction? That's fear. You see the fear in that man's eyes? You see how she's just laying into him? Let's see it. Let's see how this plays out. And he gives it to her. Did you see that? Just that. Fine, whatever. So that is the. Sorry, that. Hold on. That's the. Fine, whatever. That's the international hand sign for. I don't want to deal with this. Right? And that's why people like this get their way in society, because people don't want to deal with it. Anyway, let's go ahead. Anyway, there's another one. Hold on. There's another angle I want to show you, which there's a couple more angles of this. We'll go over this real quick. So this one's got audio. See how he just got over there really quick? Got the ball? That's what happens. You got to be quick. You see, he saw the angle of approach of the ball, ran over there, intercepted it. Right? Eddie got it. There it is. Got it for his son, Chad Dad. And then, uh-oh. Now you took it from me. Can you imagine having to be married to a person like that? Can you imagine that's your only socially sanctioned source of punani? That. Can you imagine that? Jesus Christ. Kill me now. I'd rather be old guy with the ponytail in the club. Oh, and of course, you have the Gen Z women capturing on their phone, and then what do? Make it about themselves. Of course, doing nothing and making it about themselves. Excellent. Oh, right, look at... No matter what, women gonna women, right? Women gonna be women, no matter what. They can't help but make it about themselves. They can't help it. They can't help it. Go ahead.
Bye.
Yeah, she's getting booed. Anyway, so that happened. So what happened there is, I think, well, let's see where the... Oh, hey, Toasty's here. What's up, girl? And then Roman Bagman, I'm more mad at the father than her. Yeah, me too. Me too. Because, I mean, she's going to be a shrieking, selfish, entitled hag no matter what. But that doesn't mean you have to give her her way. That's the thing, though. So we live in a society that is run by shrieking, selfish, entitled hags. That's who runs the whole kit and caboodle. That's who decides what the priorities are in our society. And it's because they're enabled by people like this who just roll over because they don't want to deal with it. And that's a learned behavior, which is we'll get into in a second. Let's see. She got fired, which I think is dumb for this, but apparently it's because kids kept calling, complaining about her. She worked on the school board, so poster child of the Karen fully confirmed. Yeah, she does have school board energy. Now, last I heard, this is the report this morning, was that they had not yet identified her as or figured out who she is. Now, I could be behind the 8 ball. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter whether or not, for the purposes of this monologue, it doesn't really matter. But this for me, it had big school teacher energy. You could tell by the dyed hair and the. It's just like, oh yeah, she's on a school board somewhere. Like you can tell she ruins people's fun professionally. This is not amateur. This is how she is everywhere all the time. And this is her life strategy. This is how she gets by. And the reason this works is because we've conditioned men to not ever say no to women. This is a woman who's not used to hearing the word no. That's why she's acting like this. This is a lifelong strategy. This has worked for her since she was a child. And she has not updated her strategy because it keeps working. Right. So she knows if she's sufficiently emotional and entitled and selfish and lacks empathy, then she can lock in and just, and just keep. And then let's see if I have any more angles of this I want to show. No, I don't. Okay. Yeah. And there's there's more stuff there, but basically. This makes the point that I want to make, which is that this is her life strategy. And there are millions of women like this all across America. And the reason that they can exist is because no one ever says, no, sit down. And all he would have had to say in that situation was, no, I'm not going to give it to you. No, I'm not going to give it to you. But did you see the fear in his eyes? I think so many men are in this situation where they understand there's a complete futility in arguing with women. There's no point. Just got to give her what she wants. She's a hysterical lunatic. Now, to be fair, this story does have a happy ending because obviously this went super viral, which is why I know about it. And the kid ended up getting a bunch of souvenirs and shit, and he got to meet the players and whatever. I don't know. So it ended up working out, but yeah, but this kind of stuff happens all over the place. I went to these were the kind of people who were the school teachers, the administrators, principals, HR representatives, retail managers. These people are scattered all over our society, and that's they basically just decide the policy agenda. And the reason it continues is because no one ever wants to say no to them. And all you would have to do is say no, and just keep saying no. But guys, I think a lot of men fear when women are really super angry like this and they're super activated, like, and they don't take a second to realize, does this even make sense? They don't take a beat. They just fear. And then they go to like, oh, let's just give her what she wants. Then she'll go away. And the problem with that is that it perpetuates it into the future. It does not correct the problem. And what does correct the problem is saying no. Like if we all just as a society decided that the angriest person in the room, particularly the angriest woman in the room, is not always right. Because we know this for men. If a man freaks out like that, we reflexively know that that guy's an asshole. And you don't want to placate him because you don't want to give a bully what they want. Because if you give a bully what they want, they're going to continue to bully other people in the future. And they will probably, most especially if you have to deal with them a lot, they will continue to bully you. You don't have to take these people seriously. I'm telling you, you could just be like, oh, wow, that sounds very serious. Or you could just be like, I did my favorite one. I can tell you're really upset. You want to talk about that? And then you're listening and you demonstrate a little bit of empathy. And that's not what they want. They want compliance. So like, I want you to give me that. And it's like, no. Think about what an opportunity this was for him to set an example for his son. Right? He could have demonstrated, hey, you know what? When a woman is being hysterical and shrieking at you, what you do is you just say, no, calmly. And I'm not saying he should get into an altercation in the ballpark and start yelling at her and tell her to sit down, smack her upside the head. None of that is necessary. All you have to do is remain calm and say no. And I think a lot of men have just lost track of that. What's she going to do? You're bigger than her. She's not going to hit you. And if she's not going to hit you, you don't have to be scared. That's a good rule of thumb in life. You really only need to be scared of people who are going to hit you or people who have a weapon in situations like that. Because she can't go to the HR department and rat on you. She can't falsely accuse you of sexual harassment. And those are the only tools in her tool belt, really. She's going to either destroy your reputation, falsely accuse you of something, get you fired, shriek at you, nag you, whatever. And if she doesn't have those, then she can just like nag you and shriek at you. And you can just ignore it and say no. You got to develop like a force field around you where you can remain calm even if you're getting shrieked at. That is critical. That is critical for men. You have to be able to deal with that. Because even the best women are going to freak out for no reason sometimes. And if you follow them on that emotional roller coaster and you try to like match their gear, then you're going to end up, frazzled and frustrated, and she's going to lose respect for you. By the way, she can't help it. She's just going to be upset sometimes. And this woman has not grown up past she has a toddler mentality. The toddler mentality is mine, give me, I want, right? And that's what she did. She just took that toddler mentality and took it into this situation. Mine, give me, I want. And you saw how that guy reacted. Like, ooh, fear, genuine fear. And I think that fear comes from a place of, I don't have any tools for managing or de-escalating this confrontation. And the reason he knows that is because I think most men, by the time you get to whatever age that guy is, you have had numerous encounters in your life that did not go your way, even though you were right. Even though you were completely in the right, you were completely justified, your position was completely logical. The encounter did not break your way because the woman who was on the other side of it was angrier and louder. And we live in a society that cannot tolerate women being upset for even a second. It was like, well, you just have to placate them immediately. And this is why we have the issue with so many women crashing out publicly. This is why we have it. They do it because it works. What do they want? Attention, validation, focused attention. They want somebody to be like, there, sweetheart. It's okay. Here, have what you want. Here, have an ice cream cone. There you go. You have it. You have that. You deserve it. You're right. You're 100% right. They just want people to say that we're right. And this is, by the way, this is downstream of the happy wife, happy life philosophy, where we basically made it so that a man disagreeing with a woman is in itself kind of a social violation. That a man, it doesn't matter if she's wrong. You just have to tell her that she's right. And then you look at the other guys and you're like, what are you going to do? So when I hear this a lot from Gen Z men is like, well, women are completely out of touch with reality. They're delusional. It's like, right, because people lie to them about what reality is the entire time they're awake. And that has happened from the day they were born. So from the day they were born until right now today, when you interacted with them and they were terrible to you, every single person they have talked to has lied to them about the nature of reality. And this is universally true unless they have a good father, good brothers, or both. This is especially true if she's like even vaguely hot. This is 6s and up. People tell the truth to ugly bitches. Yeah, which is one of the advantages. That's why they're cooler. Which sucks. It's a catch-22. But yeah, in order, if a woman is like a 6 and up, she pretty much has to have a father or brothers to tell her when things are true and when things are not. Because every single other man she's talking to is lying to or placating her. Sometimes it's out of fear. Sometimes it's because they want something, like they want to bang them, whatever. And that's tough. It's actually, somewhat, you actually should be somewhat sympathetic. It is really hard to piece together like a coherent picture of reality that's going to have good results in the real world if everyone is lying to you all the time. It's mostly a lot of the women you meet that are cool are usually the women who have been smacked upside the head by reality. Like something really bad happened and they're like, oh, reality's real. Got it. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. You can't always get what you want. Not everything is Mickey Mouse Disneyland all the time. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes things suck. And women that have experienced that in a significant way are the coolest ones to hang out with, generally speaking. Yeah, so this is you could tell this is the kind of woman who's just very, very, very used to getting what she wants. And her tool for getting what she wants is gimme now. I'm going to get really angry, and you don't have a way to deal with it because, I think we don't. Part of it is like we don't. We've conditioned men to what I say at the beginning through the school system. We condition men to sit down, shut up, and let women lead. We condition men to submit to female authority. And to the point that, like, even in adulthood, like saying no to women almost feels unnatural. I would say 90% of the dumb, terrible, dangerous shit that's happened in my life happened because I didn't say no to women. I didn't want to say no to a woman because I didn't want to be rude. Yeah. And that's just me being... So I'm not talking about, like, I'm not better than you people. I'm talking about this because I know what I'm talking about. This has been a problem that has plagued me my entire life. My inability to, like, calmly and clearly say no to a hysterical woman rather than going into like a fawn response and trying to placate her and just like, please don't be upset. Please don't be upset. Please don't be upset. And part of that is because I don't think, women, I think know this unconsciously, but maybe not consciously. When you're looking at a woman who's like, tremendously upset as a man, it's very hard to keep your cool. It's not cool. We do not enjoy being around women who are tremendously upset. It's upset. It's very it's stressful for us. We don't like it. We would prefer that you not be upset. And we will go to great lengths to make you not upset. And this is especially true if you're a woman that we care about. This wife, girlfriend, mom, whatever it is, somebody that we actually care about. It pains us greatly to see you upset, and we'll go to great lengths to try to fix that. And part of this is because men really like women by default, and women do not like all men by default. Men like women in general, and women like men in particular. They like certain men. They don't like all of us. They don't like all of us. They do feel entitled to protection and provision from all of us. But they don't like all of us. They like the ones they like, and the rest of them just aren't really considered people. So, like, this is like this one, like this woman at the Phillies game. That guy's not a person. So, from her perspective, she's a person who has rights. So she deserves the ball. Deserve. This is a big concept. Deserve. It's like, I deserve it. Right? And he's not a person. And he's got a little not person with him. Right? So it's two not people are trying to have this souvenir ball. And she is more important. She deserves it. Men don't get things. Men give things to women. And that's from her perspective. Like, she's supposed to get stuff. These are men. They're supposed to give stuff. I'm supposed to get stuff. I'm in charge. Me. I'm important. These are not people. Right? And the reason she's able to think like that is because she lives in a society that has enabled that behavior and rewarded it over and over and over and over again. She's way too grown to be acting like that. See, and this is actually how you can delineate cool women from terrible ones. Cool women who've been knocked upside the head a couple times and have heard the word no before, metaphorically, by the way, or literally. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Metaphorically or literally knocked upside the head a couple times. They'll chill out. They'll be like, oh, well, sometimes you don't get what you want. Oh, well, it happens. It happens. And you can be like, oh, man, especially if the souvenir ball went to a kid. It's like, you'd think, oh, well, it went to a kid. That's cool. Especially if that kid, I don't know what age he is, like 10 to 12, somewhere in there. Like, he's at maybe like 8. I don't know, something. I don't know how old kids are. I don't know. Anything below about 25 is an infant, and I don't look at it. So I don't know how old that kid is. Better somewhere between 4 and 17. I don't know, somewhere. But he's at that peak age where, like 10, 11, whatever, that's the peak age to get a ball at a baseball game. That's like the best time to do it. That's the time when it means the most. And when like meeting a baseball player is a maximally cool experience, right? That's the time. After that, he's gonna have like bills to worry about. He's not, cynical. He hasn't given up yet on being happy. So that's. You would think if this person had like the vaguest amount of empathy for other human beings, she'd be like, oh yeah, it's good that he got the ball and I didn't. That's okay, because I'm an old hag. I'm an old fucking hag raven. And the time for me to enjoy my life is over. So I have whatever children, grandchildren, or cats I have. And then that's my source of, meaning at that point. Because I'm done enjoying my life. But that's not, that's obviously not where she is. She has not outgrown childlike selfishness. So she shouldn't have, I don't know. Some people just never get something or someone in their life that they prioritize above their own needs. And I think that's a really important thing to do as a human. If you actually want to grow and develop, is you got to have something other than you that you care about enough that you're willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure and selfishness. Otherwise, you're kind of fucked. Your development is just going to be stunted forever if you don't fix that. And that's, I think, this is more broadly, I don't know how old this woman is, but like broadly, this is the big problem with millennials is they lack like meaning and purpose, and there's nothing like significant in their lives that they can sacrifice for. So because they don't have, they don't have children, they don't have a sense of community, they don't have religion, they end up getting sucked into these like social justice causes. And then they get to I think all this anger at Donald Trump is just, fuck you, Dad. And if you start to look at it as fuck you, Dad, then all of it starts to make sense. And this is the same thing kind of with her. It's just she's mad at a father for being a father. By the way, clutch dad move. By the way, let's give props to Dad. I've been shitting on him a lot for caving to this fucking longhouse broad, but like at the end of the day, that was a Chad Dad move, getting over there, getting right in the action, snatching up the ball, bringing it to the kid. Probably felt like $1 million right before that, and then long term he ends up like meeting the baseball players, getting a bunch of souvenirs, getting autographs. So it's a happy ending, I guess, in the long run. But I mean, you gotta set a better example. This is what I'm talking about for the young guys out there who are listening, which I hope is most of you. Looking at my demographics, it's about 96% of you are men between the ages of 25 and 34. Shout out to the 4%, by the way. We love you, ladies. Best women on the internet watch this show. But to the 96%, men between the ages of 25 and 34, that's 96% of my audience. You have to develop a force field so that when women are shrieking at you and they're upset, you can just let it bounce off. You don't have to be upset just because she's upset. And just because she's upset doesn't mean she's right. And it doesn't mean that you have to give her what she wants. In fact, if she's really upset, there's a good chance she's completely wrong. Like, it's a good chance that she's upset about something else before this, and this just triggered all those emotions. And you're on the receiving end of a bunch of emotions that don't have anything to do with you or anything to do with the current situation. There's a really good chance that's what's happening. And if you freak out and cave and try to placate her in the moment, then she's not gonna learn her lesson. And women need to learn to fucking calm themselves down. And almost none of them ever master that skill, unfortunately. That's why husbands are important, because you're just like, she's upset. But here's the thing. Picture this. Okay, your girl is upset, because this is really important for your wife or girlfriend. Your girl's upset. She's upset about who knows what, right? You have the force field up, though. So you're observing that she's upset, but you're not becoming upset. You're observing that she's upset. She's listening. You're listening to what she's saying. Now, if there's no logical through line, right? She probably just needs a glass of water, taco, hug, forehead kiss, maybe some alone time. That's what she needs. Okay, but if there's a logical reason why she's upset that is correctable, then, wait till she's done. She got to hit her word count. When a woman's upset, she has a certain number of words she has to say. She has to hit her word count. And once all the words are out, she's like, and it's over. Sometimes that's the whole problem. There's no external solution required. Sometimes she just needed to say a certain number of words. And now she's fine. And then she's fine. It's over. Right? Sometimes that's what happens. And in this case, this is a guy who does not develop a force field. And he had that initial fear response. Say now if that happened to me, I would have probably had the same initial response, but I would have locked in. I've been like, no, thank you. Also, I also understand that our society in general, this isn't just a man-woman thing. Our society in general has an issue with placating crazy people because it's easier than having conflict. Like, we're a pathologically conflict avoidant society. It's particularly true of millennials, because we were taught that like any kind of conflict is bad, and violence is not the answer, and standing up to people, we should all just get along and hold hands, and that's how you solve all problems. And some people, here's the thing, that's really good if everybody's playing by those rules. If everybody's focused on we should all get along, that's fucking fantastic. That's awesome. It's gonna work great. But if you're in a situation where some people are psychopaths who want to destroy you, or they don't care at all about getting along, they care about getting what they want, right? And so you encounter someone and your mentality is get along with everybody at all costs, and their mentality is I want to get whatever I want, then you will lose every time, because getting along with them means giving them what they want every time. See that? That's why we have such a problem with hysterical, shrieking leftists now, who are shaking their fist at reality. Remember, what is that? Fuck you, Dad. Anytime you see a leftist shrieking, what they're saying is fuck you, Dad. Because their dad abandoned them or whatever, or they're arguing with reality. Or anytime you're arguing with reality the way things are, like, I'm a man and I want to be a woman. Why isn't this working? You're mad at reality. And your dad is kind of like a proxy for reality. Your dad maybe abandoned you or whatever, and then you're mad at God, basically, and you don't have your father figure helps you form your concept of God. So if you have a abandoned or distant or absent or tyrannical father figure, it's hard to form a concept of God that makes sense, and it's hard to orient yourself in relationship to reality, and you end up in this state of perpetual shrieking toddlerhood. Right? And those people do not care about you. And it's weird because they say all they want to do is just get along. So why can't you just let people have whatever they want? But actually, they just want to get what they want, and they're not picky about how they do it. And you know this. You know that they don't actually care about people getting along. They care about getting what they want. You know this because if you say no to them, if they shriek at you and you say no to them, then they get violent. Then Antifa comes out and smacks you in the head with a bike lock. Right. It's that same mentality. You see this on the right too, because this is this is the hysterical feminine orientation toward the world. The feminine unbridled without any kind of like patriarchal boundaries on it. That's what that is. So it's when you see that too. This isn't like strictly speaking a right left thing, and it's not strictly speaking a man woman thing, because you see, men who haven't cultivated any kind of masculine virtue. They have no courage. They have no stoicism. They have no ability to regulate their emotions. They have no ability to assess a difficult situation, take emotion out of it for a second, and be like, okay, what's the right thing here? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Or to like call a timeout and like pull yourself out of the situation and be like, okay, what's the right move here? They don't have any ability to do that. And that takes time to cultivate. And as I said earlier, we have, well, I don't know, I'll stick with deliberately. I think we've set it up to where emotional maturity is not millennials' best thing. Like, we're in a state of extended adolescence, a lot of us, myself included. I have the man bun and the hat to the back as I say this, so I get where it's coming from. But like, we're in a state of extended adolescence. And we're not grown up. We're not taking up our role in society. We're complaining about all the politicians being baby boomers, and then we're like, but where's the millennial leadership? And a lot of the millennial leadership that does exist is like hysterical socialism, which is just gimme, 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 and that's a similar lack of emotional maturity and a lack of willingness to engage with reality as it is, the refusal to deal with the reality of scarcity, or the reality that resources necessarily just over time end up in fewer and fewer hands. And that's true whether you want it to be or not, independent of capitalism. Like, capitalism didn't invent the problem of scarcity. Capitalism is the most effective human construct we've thought of to deal with the problem of scarcity. If you try to solve scarcity with like central planning and socialism, then you have to kill a bunch of people, and that's no good. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Killing people is bad. I'm against killing people, and I don't care who knows it. That's it. So that's what happens if you let the hysterical Karens shriek and get whatever they want. That's what happens. Is you end up with a society where the most hysterical, loudest, angriest, shittiest voices are the ones that win. And you do not want that. You do not want that, because that's completely disconnected from logic. It's completely disconnected from reason. There's no like looking at historical trends or anything like that. It's just what I want emotionally right now. And I'm going to be as loud as I have to win. Because remember, what do leftists care about? They care about their present emotional state, how I feel right now, and winning and getting what they want. And that's it. And winning to them is getting what they want short term. It's disconnected from any kind of long-term vision. They haven't factored in scarcity. They haven't factored in other people. They haven't factored in demographic differences between people. They don't have theory of mind for people who do not think and behave exactly like them. So they don't understand that there are differences. I have a dear friend who's a leftist that I'm kind of on the rocks with right now, that friendship. And, I asked her, I was like, what do you think the right wing is? And she said that's people who get scared when other people have rights. That's her mental map of the right wing, is people who get scared when other people have rights. And that's the best she can do. Like, she thinks that like her like image of what a Republican voter is like frozen in 1996, where it's like, conservative people who are watching the country change around there. Whereas I hang out with like right-wing people kind of all the time now, and I didn't always. And now it's like there's a lot of all the creativity, all the intellectual capital, all the entrepreneurship, all the adventurousness, all the risk-taking, all the funny people, all the people that you would actually want to have hang out with and have a good time with are all kind of clustered over there on the right now. And they all disagree on stuff. That's what really makes it fun. And nobody gets hysterical. We'll just like disagree on a podcast for a couple hours, and then it'll be over, and we'll go back to being friends after that. That's it. And it's fucking awesome. They don't do that. They don't do that on the left. It's not something they can do. They don't have that ability. So they have to all think the same way, or they hysterically crash out. And one of the things is like this complete unwillingness to regulate their emotions. And what's so crazy about that is they're the people who talk about therapy all the time. I guarantee you this hysterical she-beast, hose-beast, harpy is in therapy. I guarantee it. It's always the people with zero ability to regulate their emotions who emote like a toddler and who shriek at the sky. Fuck you, Dad. So remember, anytime you see a leftist shrieking, I want you to take out what they're actually saying, and the subtitles are, fuck you, Dad. Think about that every time. I want you guys to do that. Every time you see a leftist shrieking, it's fuck you, Dad. And see if that adds context. And they're the people who are like, everyone needs to be in therapy. And then they're like, stoicism is toxic. And then you actually, I agree, shoving your emotions into a jar and ignoring them is toxic, but that's not what stoicism is. So, I mean, I think it's like a stoicism has been co-opted by the far right. No, it's people who embrace stoicism are people who want to have lives that make sense. Because if everything like the leftist orientation towards the world is built on catastrophizing. Catastrophizing, for those of you that don't know, is this term that comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is you think of something bad happens, and then you think of the worst thing, the next bad thing that could happen, and the next bad thing, and the next bad thing, and pretty soon you've got yourself all worked up. It's anxiety. It's how the anxious brain or the depressed brain works. Like if it was me, I would say, oh, I didn't get booked for that thing I wanted to get booked for, which means I'm a failure, which means, I'm the worst person that ever exists. I don't have any talent. I've abandoned my safe, stable legal career for a comedy career that's deeply uncertain and will never pan out. I'm a waste of space. I should just, I shouldn't even exist. I should just die. Right? That would be a catastrophizing series of thoughts. And along that train of thoughts, I would, get super emotional. Now, if I wanted to approach that with stoicism, what I would say is I didn't get booked for this thing I wanted to get booked for. Rejection is an inevitable part of pursuing anything difficult. Anything worth doing is going to be difficult. There's going to be setbacks. Part of doing comedy is that not everybody gets it. And I can't be mad. Like J. Cole is not mad because Sabrina Carpenter is more popular. Because he's doing what he's doing, and he's incredibly talented, but what he does appeals to fewer people necessarily because it's complex and it's a little bit IQ gated. It's interesting. You can't be the guy who has the most, who is complex, interesting, thoughtful, stuff, and then be mad that bubblegum pop is more popular, right? You can't be mad. You can't have both. Right? That's just being mad at reality. So the best thing you could do is dust yourself off, try to get the next thing. Because remember, at the end of the day, anything you didn't get is not for you. Right? So do you see how changing how you think about the thing, the same event, changing how you think about it affects whether or not you get whipped up into an anxiety spiral or whether or not you're just like, oh, okay. Then you keep it pushing, right? And you want to have a life philosophy that allows you to keep it pushing. If you get worked up into an anxiety spiral about every little thing, you're fucked. And that's why the left has no emotional energy to resist Donald Trump anymore, is because they've spent 8 years in a state of where complete nervous system activation and panic and rage, and they don't have it anymore. They just don't have it because you can't sustain that. You're gonna just be exhausted. They're all running on empty because they require emotions to fuel themselves. Right? And that's what they get what they want. They don't have any ability. That's why they don't want to debate. They don't have any ability to present their ideas logically. And as soon as they do, they get annihilated. Like people like Charlie fucking Kirk of all people. Right? It's not our most, it does not require our most impressive intellectuals to defeat leftist ideas. It's like most people, because their ideas are like, you can be whatever gender you want, no matter whatever gender you are, it's what you say you are. And it's like, okay, but what if a sex pest tries to use that to prey on ladies in the locker room? That'll never happen. It's literally happened hundreds of times already. Okay, well, it won't happen again. Like, what do you say to that? It's just, you look at reality. It's like, men shouldn't do that. Men should be better people. It's like, I agree with you. Men should be better people. Men should be more virtuous. But reality is reality. And as it happens, men have technically never been better behaved than they are currently. That's the thing. To be a leftist, you have to be historically literate. Because if you understand history at all, then you understand this is not the most toxically masculine period in history. Toxic masculinity is not at an all-time high. Genghis Khan had some toxic masculinity, just riding from town to town, just lopping bitches' heads off. Just kidnapping all the women, taking them away, and then killing all the men. That was pretty toxic. Like, that guy could maybe use some therapy, you know. But no, this is not the most toxically masculine period in history. The big problem we have actually is fucking what Phillies Garrett is doing. That's the big problem. That's the big problem, is this shrieking hysterical, and nobody just says, no. No, you can't have that. You can't have that. This isn't, like, strictly speaking a millennial problem, but it is mostly a millennial problem for what I'm seeing. And that's, like, working its way downstream. I also think some of this is just, like, the loudest voices that have adopted this strategy. And so I think there are plenty of, like, cool chicks that do not operate this way, who are for more or less getting, because they're not loud, they're not as noticed. And like, yeah, and a lot of these women are already in, especially the millennial generation, all the cool chicks are already in relationships already. So that's why they're not, shrieking into social media about how they can't find a good man, or complaining about men, or fucking running up to dudes at baseball games and being like, they're not doing that because their life's already going well. They don't need to. They found other ways to get their needs met. So that's, unfortunately, this horrible behavior has been enabled mostly by men. It is ultimately up to men to develop a force field and to learn how to say no. Because that's just simply saying no in a calm manner. That would do it. Just calmly saying no. You don't even need to learn a second word. Just no. Calmly say no. I had this problem. I was on the road. I was opening for a comedian once in Richland, Washington. Good guy. He was a mentor of mine. Guy who became a mentor of mine. Good dude. Awesome dude. And, I was complaining about a gig that I had been doing recently, where it was like a weeknight. I was making barely any money. And, I was kind of like resentful about it. And he was like, well, whose fault is it that you accepted the gig? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, well, the most powerful word that you need to learn that's going to fix all your problems is the word no. If somebody offers you something that's kind of a slap in the face and doesn't fit what you've earned with your resume or with your skills or with your talents, what you do is you say no to protect your brand, and then learn to say no, and then things will get better for you. So he was right. This is a lesson here's the thing. When I'm doing the show, I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you people. I'm not better than you. I have all the same problems. Most of these problems that I talk about are my problems. This show is me solving my own problems. That's what this is. So let's check in with the chat, and then we're going to change gears. We're going to talk about something else. Let's see what we got here. What's up, chat? Boop. Oh, fuck. There's so many chats. Because Professor Savage Dad's here. That's why there's so many chats. Shout out Professor Savage Dad, friend of the channel. Let's see. People are talking a lot. All right. Hail. Let's see. Toasties here. Okay. I'm mad at both Vagabond, but I understand the dad not wanting to keep dealing with her and it escalating because he would then be the bad guy, and they got the better deal afterwards, though. That's true. And I think not wanting to be the bad guy is one of the primary motivations. That's why these people keep doing it, because they know if they put you, if these Karen types, and you see the transes adopting this similar strategy, they know if they put you in the position where you have to be the bad guy, then most men have been conditioned with good boy morality, which is say yes, be good all the time, be boundaryless, never say no, and that's what it is to be a good boy. And be a good boy morality is what we've brought the whole millennial generation to believe in. And so now that sense of like being a good boy can be just absolutely exploited by psychopaths. And they have that's actually a way, being a good boy morality is actually dodging any development of masculine virtue, like courage or wisdom or justice or truth. Like her point that she was the first to get the ball and he took it away is just not true. That's a lie. That's made up. But she just said it in an angry voice, and so it was easier to say yes to her than it was. But in some way, saying yes to her in that situation is conceding to a lie. It's agreeing that a lie is reality, and that's it's a big problem with what we've got going on today. This is what has really fucked up the country. But I also, I also understand, I'm somewhat sympathetic to somebody who doesn't want to have like a confrontation with a stranger in public. I get that too. So, this is why it's important to remain calm as you're saying no. Like, I do not advocate just like yelling at people in public if you can avoid it. Just because one person is yelling doesn't mean a second person needs to yell. I agree, Toasty. Toasty's saying she got mad at the dad for giving the ball back. I get they get the better deal. So yeah, it would have been nice. I would have been nice to see the dad setting an example for his kid. I think setting an example, especially for his young son. It's like, hey, you can calmly say no when people are being hysterical and rude and awful. You can just calmly say no. That's fine. I wish that was a situation. Also, in the dad's defense, that is not a skill set that a lot of people have. The ability to calmly say no in the face of hysterical nonsense is a skill set that a lot of people no longer have. That is, for the most part, not nearly as common as it used to be. And it's critical if we're going to have a country that makes sense at all. We have to be able to calmly say no to hysterical nonsense, right? And unfortunately, the hysterical nonsense is just everything. It's everything in our political system all day, every day. It's hysterical nonsense. My wife would have backed this bitch down. That's the other thing, too. Professor Savage Dad is making a good point here. We talk a lot about how men protect women physically. We don't talk as much about how women protect men socially. And because men, your hands are kind of tied. When you're in a situation where a woman is like shrieking at you like that, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you do anything other than throw up your force field, calmly say no. Like if he responded with the same energy, then he would have been the bad guy. And everybody would have been like, he might have gotten thrown out by security if he really tried to escalate that encounter and like match her energy. And she knows that. She knows that she has an asymmetrical social protection in that situation. So she's exploiting that, which is part of what makes this so unfair, right? She's behaving she's putting him in a really tough position where if he is a good and virtuous man, he's not going to escalate the interaction. So if he's using she's exploiting good boy morality. You see that? So, and that's why it's good to have like a woman who's got some piss and vinegar, a little bit confrontational. I'm a big advocate for getting confrontational women that are nice to you. I'm a big advocate for that. So that if you're ever in this situation, you have somebody, somebody's got to tell the waiter that I ordered mashed potatoes and it ain't going to be me. So. Oh man, but yeah, he didn't have her there, so it was just him and the kid. It sucks that, again, in the end, karma worked out in his favor, thank God. So it ended up being okay, but this is a real serious situation. Yeah, and this is true. Savage has making an important point here. Yes, ladies, it is your job to deal with your kind. We can't socially deal with them because of what your gender has done to it, and it's on wives and mothers to deal with women confrontations. Yeah, because outside, like men's options are seriously limited. Like when you're dealing, if you have a social confrontation with a woman, it's like you're playing with like Western boxing rules, and she's fighting with prison rules. She can do whatever. There's no upper limit on the amount of aggression she can show towards you and still be considered to be in the right. So that's why, like I said, developing the force field and then calmly saying no is the most important skill that we can develop. We don't teach men that they're allowed to do that anymore. And this is downstream of the sit down, shut up, and let women lead, submit to female authority, and that's what we're doing the whole time we have boys in the school system. That's the way we're teaching them to act. So that puts us in a tough situation. That's why it's so important to get a mentally stable woman around you that kind of gives you a buffer against that, so she can kind of like get in there and check that behavior. Mm-hmm. Can I just say how distractingly cute the puppy is in the background? No, don't look at the dog. Are you listening? Don't not listen. Don't look at the dog. Look at me. Jesus Christ. Okay. This audience, I swear to God. Best audience in the internet, by the way. Yeah, and that's true. It's true that if the wife steps in, that is another way that's corrective. But I'm trying to be realistic. And unfortunately, the other thing too, this is what these young guys, especially young single guys, what you really need to know is if you develop a force field or you develop the ability to say no to a hysterical woman, you will tremendously increase the amount of optionality you have in dating. Of so many more options, you can't believe it if you just develop a little bit of a spine and a little bit of an ability to say no. Women like that. Actually, they need it. It's not about like, it's about need. They cannot function in orientation to reality unless they have, a guy near them with a spine. That's true. Humans are not supposed to function as like autonomous units. We're meant to pair up, actually. That's the point. Like men don't function properly. This is by the way, that's why the old guy with the ponytail who's at the nightclub hitting on college chicks. That's why that's so weird, because he hasn't, because the longer they stay kind of like unpaired, the more Looney Tunes they get. Same thing with these women with no husbands, no children. They go for a long time. It's just you can't integrate that other part. So you need both. You need the boundaries. You need boundaries. Boundaries are good for people. So if you're a guy and you're like, how do I make myself more attractive to women? Maybe the most important thing I would say is develop the ability to say no to women when they're hysterical, and not in a mean way, just calmly. Remaining calm when a woman is hysterical in your presence that will make you incredibly attractive to the opposite sex. So that's something everybody can learn how to do. So you don't have to be hot to know how to do that. It helps, but you don't have to. You don't have to dress well or know about colognes or lift weights or anything. Just learn how to say the word no and mean it. Say it with some conviction and don't say it in a mean way. Say it in a gentle way, but mean it. Don't be flexible. And it's hard. It's scary until you realize it works. Once you realize it works, then it'll be fine. That first time is going to be scary. That first time saying no is going to be scary. But keep it up. See what happens. That's, even if calling me would be demonized, I do think that's true. There's a really good chance that you're going to have to be the bad guy. Part of this is in order to live a sane life, you're going to have to violate social norms. And this is true for talking to women you don't know is now not allowed. So, but how are you going to meet someone if you don't? And how are they going to meet you? That's the other thing that they're constantly complaining about is men don't approach us anymore. Why don't they approach us anymore? I want to be approached. It's no, you don't. You want to be approached to fluff your ego because you like rejecting men. That's it. Then also you want to be approached by the guys you want to approach you. And my guys don't have any way of discerning whether or not that's them or not. So then, we've kind of rat fucked the whole thing. But yeah, you have to be willing to violate social norms because the social norms are retarded. We let the most hysterical, easily offended, awful, emotionally immature white women set the emotional temperature of social interactions. And so as long as that's true, you have to violate social norms just to be a human. That sucks. You just got to be a little bit selective about how you do it. But if you can figure out when and how to violate social norms in a way that's cool and not creepy, then you're you're the master of your domain, and there's nothing they can do about it. Let's see. Good morning. What's up, Iron Oxide, friend of the channel? Hey, check out the weekly Rogues Gallery and check out Ironcast. New episode just dropped last night. Ironcast, talking about the subway stabbing. So that's pretty crazy. Gal is the 4%. Shout out. It's not just Gal, it's also Scream Queen Selena and Diana and Toasty and whoever else. Shirley's in the audience sometimes. We got people. I got people. The analytics says it's 4% of you. So some of you are not in the chat. I don't know who's watching it that's not in the chat. My mom probably. Yeah. Reality is difficult. Don't do drugs or do more. Yeah, do more. Yeah, that's that's the problem. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if we're telling kids not to do drugs, it's like there's something that's gonna like solve all of your problems and make you feel better and more creative. It makes sex better. Everything's great, but don't do it. It's such a mixed message about drugs. I do think you should not do drugs, by the way, because across a long enough timeline, it ruins your life. But yeah. Selena, Ali, Toasty, CJ, and others as well. Yeah, shout out to the 4%. We love you guys. Yeah, that makes no sense. I don't know which thing. Holy crap! I thought the dog was a pillow until it moved. Are we still talking about the fucking dog? Theo was really on one day. Is like watching him do a set or give a lecture. Yeah, no, this is fun. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. This is very monologue-y. All right, yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of chats. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're still talking about the dog. Still talking about the dog. Okay, the rest of these are just about the dog. Okay, guys. Okay, and I think. Cal said she was talking about me when she talked about the dog, which is rude. Okay. Anyway, let's see what else I got. I got more things to talk about today. Okay, this one I want to go. This ties in. So this is more millennial women being hysterical. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to watch this, and then I'm going to start at the beginning, and we'll go.
Men, when are you going to wake up and realize that the women in your life are not safe?
Men. When are you going to realize okay, notice this. The way her voice is kind of cracking and she's like kind of crying but not crying. So if a woman is crying for an audience, assume her tears are a performance unless proven otherwise. Okay? Assume if she's emoting, if she's having a big emotion and there's an audience, assume it's a performance. This is super easy. If there's an audience, assume it's a performance. Okay, and that, by the way, that includes you. You could be the audience. It could be just you and her, and you're the audience. So remember that. Okay, go ahead.
When are you going to protect us? When are you going to defend us?
When?
I don't know how many years I will have lost in my life to being so hypervigilant and having my nervous system jacked every fucking time I walk past a man on the street.
Right. So what she's saying is she can't regulate her emotions, and it's men's fault. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't it the job of an adult to learn how to regulate their own emotions? Right. I know why you think that, because you're a reasonable person. That's not her perspective, though. Remember what I said about fuck you, dad? Okay, just any kind of like mad at men in general or mad at reality, that's fuck you, dad energy. So think of everything she's saying, put the subtitles fuck you, dad under it. Go ahead.
There are only three men in my life that I can name, that I trust, that I know.
This is, so remember how when you're talking to a woman and you're like, men are taller than women on average. And she's like, nuh-uh, I know a girl who's 5'10", right? That's what's going on here. She has a personal, this is the feminine urge to respond to a statistical generalization with a personal anecdote. Shout out to whoever tweeted that, because that was badass. It was a banger. Go ahead.
Are looking out for the women in their lives. 3. What the fuck are the rest of you doing? Why are you still playing video games with dudes that think that Trump is the greatest thing to ever happen to this country, when my rights are actively being threatened?
What rights are actively being threatened? Which one? Which ones? Go ahead.
I am your sister. I am your wife. I am your daughter. I am your granddaughter.
I hope to fuck she's not my wife. Good Lord, can you imagine being married to that? Jesus Christ. Every time something happens, it's like, fuck you, Dad. Remember, all this is fuck you, Dad. That's all she's saying. Go ahead.
Why aren't you doing something? Why can't you acknowledge? Why can't you take some of the burden off of me and be on the lookout for once? Notice.
Be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for what? I don't know. Go ahead.
When that weird guy in the restaurant is pointing his phone at me, ask him if he's recording me.
I wasn't there. I wasn't at the restaurant. That's why I didn't say anything. That's why I didn't say I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And I'm sure if you were wearing socks, Vagabond never would have taken his phone out. So, shout out Vagabond.
I don't care if I sound paranoid. There are freaks out there that do that kind of shit. Look out for me. Take some of that burden off of me. Watch and see what men are undressing me with their eyes, and do something. Walk on the outside of me whenever we're on the street. Like, something. Do something.
Do something. Fuck you, Dad. Go ahead.
Stop engaging in politics that don't affect you.
There it is. Stop engaging in politics that don't affect you. I wonder what she means by that. Go ahead.
If you're not going to protect people.
What? Okay, I don't know what any of that means. I think that's just like, just I feel bad and it's vaguely men's fault and I want you to adjust your behavior so that I feel better. Which is, by the way, what is that? Fuck you, Dad. That's all it is. That's all it is. She doesn't actually have any specific suggestions. It sounds like she just wants to be able to murder her unborn children, and she's upset that she can't. By the way, if you're upset that you can't murder your unborn children, there's a 99% chance you already live in a state where it's legal. Almost everyone who's concerned about this issue lives in a state where it's enshrined in the Constitution. That happened the day Roe v. Wade got overturned. Washington, California, Oregon, bunch of other left-wing states. They already had the bills written up to put it in the state constitution that you have a state constitutional right to an abortion. Right? So this is not a problem for the people who care about it. It's not. It's made up. And if it is, then you can just go somewhere. There's plenty of places where you can go that it's not a problem. As far as like dealing with creeps in public or guys who are addressing them with their, I think this is like, I think this is a little bit like, oh, I hope no one sexualizes me. I hope I don't have to deal with any creepy men who are sexually attracted to me. Oh, wouldn't that be terrible? I think there's a little bit of that going on. Lady doth protest too much, methinks. There's a little bit of that going on. But also, it's just like, I don't know why she thinks that shrinking and nagging at men is the best way to get them to change their behavior in a way that she finds palatable. Because she doesn't see men as people. She sees men as like disposable servants whose job it is to make her life safe and comfortable. And to some sense, I agree. I do think the purpose of a society is to make life safe and comfortable for women and children. I do fundamentally agree with that. But that makes sense under a model where women are also contributing to the society. There used to be all sorts of ways that like women made things better, you know? Women add pillows. Like, I don't own, like, I have like one pillow. I have like, maybe if you count the body pillow, it's 2 pillows. Shout out to Cardi B. You deserve better. I don't have pillows, but if there was a woman here, I would have way more pillows. You know, everything would be a little bit more comfortable. It'd probably smell better. I will never voluntarily attend a social gathering of me and my neighbors. I would certainly never organize one. That's the kind of thing women do all the time. And then you're there and then you're glad you're there. It's like, I didn't want to go and now I'm glad that I was there. There's all kinds of ways that like women have historically, made things better. But then, we indoctrinate. It's weird because we set it up so we told women that they were all amazing magical girl bosses who have special unicorn powers, who are also simultaneously the biggest victims in the world and super oppressed, and that men are both incompetent and worthless and worse than them in every single categorical way, and also are evil genius super predators who are always out to rape. So she has this I think what that does is that creates a tremendous amount of cognitive dissonance. So women are just in a constant state of anxiety and conflict as they're trying to wrestle with this cognitive dissonance, none of which maps onto reality. And if she if your gripe is that you don't know any men who are taking care of women, then it's probably because you just don't, I don't know, get out more, I guess. Meet cooler people, I guess. I don't know why this is my problem. I don't know why this is my issue. I don't know. Maybe you should hang out with more right-wing people. Because, ever since I've been, a lot of us, I think, when I was in Washington before I, was really online, I was kind of like a broke, road comic, just kind of languishing in obscurity, driving around all these towns in the Pacific Northwest. And, a lot of the people that I interacted with, especially in my hometown, were woke and kind of scummy. Woke men are extremely scummy. I will say that. If you see a man involved in woke activism, he's almost certainly has allegations against him. Just the way it is. But then now that I'm kind of online and I'm chickens of a feather be clucking together. So I kind of found my people a little bit. Most of the guys I know are already married or are on their way and have wives that they cherish, respect, and speak well of. Shout out Professor Savage Dad. Shout out Iron Oxide. You guys know who you are. These guys are the guys that I hang out with now are all guys who, respect and cherish their wives and speak well of them. So it's I don't know, I guess get out more, just change I don't know why it's my fault that you have terrible taste in men. What do you want me to do? And I don't know, maybe there was a guy who pulled out his phone and recorded her. I don't know if that actually happened or not. I know there are guys who do that. Huge bummer. Not cool. Don't do that, I guess. I don't know what the fuck you want me to do. The other thing, too, is, we've also set up a situation where absolutely anything that men could do that would be in defense of women is criminalized. Look what happened to Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's story, for those of you that don't know, there was a crazy, mentally ill, homeless dude creating a problem on the subway. Homie put him in a rear naked choke, and guy accidentally died because he wouldn't stop struggling. It happens. Sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. It sucks that guy died. Not cool. But then Daniel Penny was put on criminal trial, and everybody said that he was an evil white supremacist murderer and the crazy homeless guy who was harassing people on the subway and was creating a problem and needed to be restrained. That guy was all of a sudden an innocent victim who didn't do nothing and was an innocent baby child. Just innocent. He had mental illness. He was a beloved Michael Jackson impersonator. He had mental illness. He's not responsible for his actions. Right. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have it so that this is something that affluent liberal white women, I'm just going to assume that this woman fits that description for the sake of argument, because most of the women who speak the way that she does do, right? So we're just going to assume for the sake of argument that she's an affluent white female liberal, an awful, and that she's educated, probably college educated. And for some reason, we have trained women through college education and through social media to view criminals as the infants they do not have, right? And so criminals or sex pests are the people that we need to have infinity sympathy for, the same way we would have infinity sympathy for an infant. And anyone who tries to deal with the criminals is the predator, like the snake who's trying to eat the baby, right? And that's When a woman is in that state of mind of you have babies and you have predators, and those are the only two mental categories she has. She got babies and predators. And we've kind of like through a bunch of like brainwashing and propaganda, we've got women to, completely reverse it, where they view the people defending her against the predators as the predators. They view the predators as the infants, which is, by the way, that's a great way to destroy your society forever. Right, that's a great way to destroy your society forever. By the way, to bring this back to the subway stabbing, that's why homie was let out of jail 14 times. And that's why you've got people in public being like, well, just because he's a psychotic murderer, let's make sure nobody says anything racist. Like, why is that your primary concern? Why is your primary concern not, hey, somebody got stabbed and this guy got arrested and let out of jail 14 times, and like maybe that should have been a warning sign that maybe this guy needs to be incarcerated for longer if he keeps getting arrested over and over again. But it's because we've exactly reversed the predators and infants thing, which is, by the way, that's a feature of gaslighting. That's what like when you talk about gaslighting and narcissistic abuse, there's this concept of DARVO, which is the ARVO in DARVO is reverse victim and offender. Which is exactly what the left's narrative about criminality has done. It has, and this stuff was all the rage when I was in law school. So it was like what everybody was trying to do. Everybody wanted to be like a big damn hero and be an advocate of criminal justice reform. And at that time, that would like progressive prosecutors were like taking over in California. And I was in law school when fucking what's his face got put into power in San Francisco. And then by the time I was out of law school, San Francisco had turned into Mad Max. Because it turns out if you make crime legal, more people will do crimes. That's what happens. If you let I didn't know that. It's a luxury belief that does not make sense outside the bubble of a college campus. So if you actually, so that was when defund the police kicked off. That was when, Black Lives Matter was really picking up steam. That was when we got police are the problem and criminals are the good guys. And we just need to, educate them, and we need to make sure that as long as inmates in jail have enough art classes and do enough Shakespeare plays eventually and get enough hugs and forehead kisses, eventually they'll reform and like develop impulse control and stop like raping and murdering people. And we know that's not true, right? We know that's not true, that there are always going to be, violent people. But we have this, unfortunately, we've given a ton of power to women who are locked into this idea that some people are infants that need infinity hugs. And everyone who wants to, if you want to punish the infant or put the infant in jail or whatever, then you're a predator. And actually, we've just gotten them to just completely flip, and somehow they have this idea that the predators are infants categorized in their mind, and they just need hugs and forehead kisses to get better. And that's just not true. And then the people who are trying to protect you from the predators are the enemy. And that's what this leftist white woman has in her idea. Guys who voted for Donald Trump, like she voted because she wanted to have abortions, right? And the guys voted for Donald Trump for a myriad of reasons. Most of them were economic. Like a lot of people were like sick of wokeness. They were deeply suspicious of the trans thing and how it was spreading to kids. But a lot of it for a lot of guys was about immigration. It was about jobs. It was about grocery prices. It's all this stuff. And she doesn't understand why we can't just have infinity immigration. She doesn't understand that there's scarcity and there's like limited resources, right? And that if you let a bunch of people in, that taxes the system, right? And then we have to pay for all those people, right? She doesn't get that. She's disconnected from that reality. That doesn't mean anything to her. So like she's concerned about abortion. That's her main thing. And just like be nice to everybody. We should just be nice to everybody and let me have infinity abortions and then everything's good, right? So. Well, the problem with that is that she thinks that because she voted to have an abortion, that men voted to take away her abortions because they want to control her body. And that's not true. It has nothing to do with that. The people who oppose abortion do so because they think that it's killing a person. It doesn't have anything to do with controlling your body. And it does place limitations on what you can do with your body in a sense, just like laws against shoplifting. They place a limitation on your body. You can't take your body, go into a Walmart, and walk out with a TV without paying. That is a limitation on what you can do with your body, right? You can't take your body and beat someone to death at the DMV, no matter how annoying they might be. That's a limitation on what you can do with your body, isn't it? Right? Because you can't use your body to kill a person. You know, you can't. And I understand, like, it's, I understand it's like, oh, well, but do you need the bodies, do you need to use my body to, come into the world? And we always say that and how unfair it is that a woman has to be pregnant, and no one ever has the follow-up question of how you got pregnant in the first place. We always have this like hysterical perspective of like the 10-year-old who got impregnated by their stepfather, even though that's not 1% of abortions, right? Most of them are recreational, and like 40% of them have had like, 2 or more. So some of these bitches are coming through the drive-through with punch cards, working up your fifth one's free kind of deal. And we're making sure that there's people literally using abortion as birth control, and we're saying that those people get a free pass because there's some catastrophic situation that may hypothetically happen at some point. But for her, she's like, my rights, I deserve. That's the other thing too. That's the other phrase you got to watch for with leftists is I deserve. Leftists are mostly about deserving. It's gimme. Gimme. There's a lot of people that all they want is just give me more Pringles. I want free Pringles. Give me Pringles. And they don't care where the Pringles come from. They don't care who you have to steal from. They just care that they get their Pringles. And if you are an unscrupulous politician, you got to make sure your people get their Pringles enough of the time that you can still get elected. You don't have to give them Pringles every time. But you got to give them enough Pringles that they keep voting for you. That they think there's a chance that if they just keep putting their hand out, they'll eventually get Pringles. And that's it. They just want what they want. They just want their free stuff, their free handouts. That's all they want. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about where those Pringles come from. They don't understand that everything costs money and that there's such a thing as scarcity and there's, resources and that people have to work so that you can have your Pringles. They don't understand any of that. None of that it factors into their reality at all. So, she's like, man, I deserve. She deserves. And what she means by protect me, make me feel safe. Which means like so I feel like I'm in physical danger. So what I want is for men to put themselves in physical danger so that I don't feel like I have to be in physical danger anymore. I want you to fight for me, but I'm also going to make fighting illegal. I'm also going to make fighting for me illegal. So if you do try to defend me, even though I'm saying that's what I want, and deep down that is what I crave, if you do actually do what's necessary to defend me, then I'm going to call you a fascist or a racist, and I'm going to try to have you arrested and put in jail. So that's what happened to Daniel Penny. So that's why. And guys saw that. A bunch of guys saw that. Was like, well, fuck that. The other thing, too, is that women are not upholding their end of the social contract, and they haven't for a while. They don't make life better. They don't make life more comfortable. Most of them are not having children now. So it's like, okay, well, that was your part of the social contract, and you're not doing that anymore. So there's literally zero incentive for men to cooperate. Now, they don't understand that it's like, why aren't you, even though I'm not doing anything, I still deserve all the free labor that I'm traditionally accustomed to getting from you. I still deserve that, even though I'm not upholding my end of the bargain at all. Like, I'm not doing anything. I still deserve, because fuck you, Dad. I deserve. It's never about what are you doing? Like, what are you bringing to the world that makes it better such that a man would want to stand up for your virtue, your honor, and protect you? Like, what about your presence in the society would make me want to put my physical safety on the line to defend you? And look, if women are like making life more pleasant, more comfortable, if they're nice to be around, if they're fun to hang out with, they're having children, they're, begetting the next generation. It's like, hey, that's the woman's part of the social contract. And if they're doing that, then they should be defended, because that's what it is to be a man. The whole point of the society is to make life safe and comfortable for women and children. That's why we do everything. That's everything we do. That's why you don't see a whole lot of saber-toothed tigers running around. They were a problem for you, so we killed them all until we ran out. This whole continent used to be covered with super predators. I don't mean like Bill Cosby. I mean like just giant, bloodthirsty, vicious animals with giant fucking teeth who wanted to kill and eat us. And did kill and eat us all the time. Like we were a part of their diet. Like what cave bear is? A cave bear is bigger than a polar bear. And the human skull fits like perfectly in its mouth. Because they just killed humans recreationally it was just part of their diet until humans started fighting back, and and we killed all the cave bears. There are none left. You don't see any. You're not going to go see one. I asked my leftist friend about that one time, and she's like, "Well, that's because of urban planning." No, it is not. It's because we fucking killed them all, and then we killed all their food, and we ate it because it was our food now. Mammoths and shit, right? It's ours now. So, yeah. This is the social contract. It's like men are absolutely more than willing, and have demonstrated this over and over again historically, are absolutely willing to put their ass on the line to make life safe and comfortable for women and children. Absolutely. But there's an understanding that the women are going to be pleasant, and that they are going to have children at some point, and that they're going to hold up their end of the bargain and make life better. But I think a lot of women now, particularly true, you see this really with millennial women. It's just they're in the state of extended adolescence because they've never grown up, they've never matured, and they've never gotten out of this mentality of what do I deserve. It's all about what I deserve. It's not about, what I bring to the world. And you see this in the famous dating discourse. What do you bring to the table? I am the table. Like, okay, so I just get you and your personality and just how you are. That's it. Like, I don't get any. Like, and that's just like you just existing. You exist for me to just give shit to. And I'm supposed to be excited about the opportunity to transfer all of my money and resources and time and effort towards you, and then you receive it because you deserve it. And you're like, thank you. You don't even say thank you. You're just like, yeah, this is just what I'm entitled to. So this is the bare minimum. It's my favorite expression, bare minimum. Bare minimum. It is bare minimum. It is bare minimum. And they wonder why men are giving up. Millennial men have by and large given up. Men are done. Gen Z men never really got started, which I think bums me out. I know a lot of Gen Z guys now who have just basically zero, 25, 26, 27, 28 years old, basically zero dating experience. And I'm like, bro, by the time I was 28, I was already on my 6th pregnancy scare by the time I was 28. I'm undefeated on pregnancy scares, by the way. 6-0, like Jordan in the finals, baby. Don't miss. I don't miss when the pressure's on. But yeah, they just don't, have anything, and it's because I deserve. And it's just the reality. That's not tempered by the economic reality or the fact that the dollar doesn't go as far, the jobs don't pay as much, or jobs are way harder to get, or we made the rule that basically we have a bunch of made up laptop jobs that have transferred a significant amount of wealth, power, and authority to women. So you got a bunch of women who I think 2/3 of people in college now are women. So now it's like you got a bunch of women who think they're part of the aristocracy, and then there aren't enough educated men to go around. And the ones that do, a lot of them end up being they're either right wing, which no go, or they're male feminists. So they're like weaselly, spineless jelly people that women don't want, they're not attracted to, they don't find appealing. So it's like they don't They don't want that. So what they deserve is a transfer of resources from men that they're attracted to them. And the guys they're attracted to are, for the most part, basically they're kind of in over their skis on that. So they deserve it. I mean, what guy who respects himself is going to want to be nagged at like this? Like, if a woman talks to you that way, imagine you're sitting next to her in the car and she's like, when are you going to protect me? When are you going to protect me? Imagine that. I mean, would you want to hang out with this woman a second time? I certainly wouldn't. You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm probably not her type either, so. But that's, I mean, by the way, this impulse to like defend and protect women in a serious way is the impulse of the virtuous man. And in the current society, any man who incorporates masculine virtue like courage, wisdom, justice, truth, any man who's incorporating those kind of masculine virtues is going to find himself on the right politically, unfortunately. There's no virtuous men left on the left. There's just weaselly, spineless, entitled men with gelatin for spines. Just a bunch of social eunuchs. That's who's left on the left. There's no respectable. Okay, hold on. I have to let the dog outside. Give me a second. You guys stay right here. I'll be right back. Okay, hold on. All right, I'm back. Did you guys leave? One of you did. That's okay. Let's see. What else was I looking at? I have another thing I wanted to show. Oh God, this is a good one because I want you to take note of this because what happened. One of the things you hear from leftists all the time is that MAGA wants to take everybody to camps and stuff like that. And I promise you, just like I always say, when the left says you're doing something, that's what they're doing. Everything they accuse you of is what they're doing. And this video illustrates that nicely. Let's say hi to the chat. I have 34 unread chats. Jesus Christ. Okay. Are we still talking? We're still talking about the dog. Okay. Yeah. That's Weasel. When I was younger and single, I would approach women for my friends and they were too shy. I got a lot of numbers that way. My friends, not so much. Yeah, that's the thing is like I tell guys all the time is fortune favors the bold. So taking a risk, you will eat shit more if you take more risks, but you will also be more successful if you take more risks. So not taking risks is actually like not a viable strategy for men. Playing it safe can work if you're a girl, but it will not work for a man. You have to take significant risks. I also don't think you should dedicate significant amounts of time to. I don't think pursuing women should be your primary pursuit. That's a side quest. It's not your main quest. Your main quest should be. If you're, depending on where you're at age-wise, if you're in your 20s, you should be trying a bunch of different things to try to figure out what you're good at. Then once you figure out what you're good at, and in your 30s, you should get as good at that thing as you possibly can. And then in your 40s, focus on monetizing it. So, Ironcast was good one last night. Yeah, shout out Iron Oxide. Shout out Scream Queen Selena. Very supportive. Let's see. Where did the dog come from? That is belongs to my housemate. He just hangs out in here a lot. Did you rescue it from the Asian market down the street? I did not. That is... I can't win with you, Theo. I give you shit and you kick me from the stream. I call you an adorable puppy and you whine. Such a... Okay, that's... Who invited you? Why are you here? Did I see this chick on American Horror Story? Yeah, you did. Oh, man. Yeah, coincidentally, there are only 3 men in her life that can stand being around her. Yeah, that's a good point, too. Like, maybe take a look at yourself. If only 3 virtuous men want to be around you, maybe that. And it's probably guys who are related to her who have no choice. You know, it's not... Like, imagine what kind of guy who respects himself would choose to be nagged at in that way. And they don't think about that. They literally are not capable of considering men's point of view. They don't have the ability. They only care about what they deserve because they're locked into this toddler mentality of I deserve it, I deserve it, I deserve it, I deserve it, mine. Just like the chick from the baseball game. She's not capable of considering the world from anyone else's perspective. It's only about what she wants. That's so important. These people are not capable of seeing the world from anybody else's perspective. And by the way, they're the ones who shriek about empathy all the time. It's like, I have empathy. Why don't right-wing people have empathy? If you don't have empathy, they literally have zero empathy. They're just projecting their emotions onto other people. Literally zero empathy. Not capable of seeing the world certainly not from a man's perspective. Right. Certainly not from a man's perspective. So they're literally only capable of feeling their own emotions and projecting them onto other people. They're actually being able to like intellectually take emotions out of it and consider other people's perspective in a serious, thoughtful way is a high level cognitive skill that most people can't do. That's called tactical empathy, and it's incredibly useful. It's incredibly useful. It's like mandatory. And like we don't have that in our because we have so few people who can do that. That's why our that's why our diplomacy sucks. That's why our like foreign policy sucks. That's why that's why the Biden administration had dog shit foreign policy. Trump is pretty good at this, actually. He's pretty good at like making strategic alliances. And like understands that people in like Vladimir Putin is a gangster who really only understands strength and power. Stuff like that. So, and knowing what kind of guy you're dealing with is really important. That's right. Shout out 48 Laws of Power. I got to do the official reading list of the channel. I got to post that on the YouTube because I know there's a lot of people have been asking me to do that. I had to post the official reading list. It's not just 48 Laws of Power. That's maybe the most important one. If you're really going to read one book that I recommend, it would be that one. But there's a lot of books that you got to. Maybe she could ask the bear for help. Yeah, that's the other thing too. I will say this, like I was in the discourse before I ever started the show. The bear discourse predates touch grass pretty significantly. And I was just a comedian at that point. I was like a road comic, like languishing in obscurity, and I was all about like the purity of the art form, and I wasn't like I thought like social media kind of like sullied it. Which was really just me saying I'm scared to post on social media because what if people say I'm bad at comedy? Which is a very pussy way to approach the world. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, I'm over that now, obviously. And now I don't care if you guys say I'm bad. Because fuck you. I don't care what you think. But anyway, so the bear discourse predates that pretty significantly. And I remember at the time, that fucking hurt my feelings because I was already like invested in like the man-woman discourse pretty significantly, but I was just doing it with like stand-up and like talking to people, and I was like really trying to get to the root of the problem, and I was like, damn, that's how y'all really feel. That's really how you feel about us? Okay, fuck you then. And I had a friend who was like, I had numerous arguments with female friends trying to like hash this out, and they tried to make it seem like it was like a logical argument. And I was like, this is not. It's just like hysterical emotion. You just want to take a shot at men because it feels good to do. We'll do I got to do a whole other episode on the bear discourse. I don't want to unpack that because I unpacked that at length, and I really feel good about the conclusions that I came to on it. But like, yeah, people are like men are like women are surprised that men are not going to fight. They're like, oh my God, that was like one thing. And it's crazy because a lot of the women who said they would choose the bear were saying what feels good emotionally in the moment. And men would never say something. Typically, if a man is gonna say something that is that significant, he's going to have thought about it for a long time. And he's really going to mean it. So I think a lot of men think that like women really meant it when they said that, and it's not. They just felt good emotionally to say, and they knew it was going to hurt men. And just anything they could say that hurt men feels good in the moment because they feel like men deserve it. So that's just all it's about, which is crazy because like the guys who cheated on them that they're actually mad at, their dad or whatever, don't give a shit. They didn't even find out about it. It's just men who actually care about what they want, and the men who care about treating women well were the men who heard that message and got hurt by it. And then a bunch of the male feminists who perform it's like, oh my God, babe, I had no idea you felt that way with their nail polish. Oh my God, babe. My God, it is so dangerous to be a woman. I'm so sorry that you have to deal with men that are more dangerous than bears. By the way, none of these people have ever seen a bear. They have no idea. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier when we killed all the saber-tooth tigers. Like, we have thoroughly whooped nature's ass. We've beat nature into submission. So when women say, men have to protect women, protect us from what? Protect us from what? Protect us from what? And they mean bad men. So it's like, if not for men, you wouldn't need men for protection, which is completely false because they've forgotten how dangerous nature is. Nature, there's wild animals, starvation, the elements. Like, it used to be all humans lived outside. And you were like, this is hot. So when we invented inside, right? You're like, it's too hot in here. So we invented air conditioning. You're welcome. It was cold outside, so we invented inside. It was hot in there, so we invented air conditioning. Now you're comfortable all the time. We did that for you. You're welcome. That was for you. We fixed that. That was us. We built walls to keep the barbarians and the wild animals and the weather out. And then we invented agriculture to protect you from starvation, right? So we can plan ahead now. We have, like, all of this stuff we did was to make life safe and comfortable for women, and the way that women have chosen to respond to that is by, spitting in our face. So a lot of guys have checked out because the incentives are gone, and women don't understand how they're like, why don't we feel safe? Do more, do more, do more, do more, do more. And it's like, you took away the incentives for men to cooperate. That's what happens. And it's like, I had a conversation with an ex-girlfriend one time, and she was like, we should pass all property down through the mother's line, and that would solve all issues, and then we would never have a problem again. I was like, yeah, but then the woman has no incentive to be monogamous. And she's like, why is that a problem? And I was like, because if men don't have certainty of paternity, then, and we didn't have, this is, in prehistory, you don't have, pregnancy tests, or in the ancient world, you don't have pregnancy tests, right? Or paternity tests. So you don't know. The only way that the kid is yours is if you have monogamy and you are reasonably certain that your wife is stuck to that. And if you don't have certainty of paternity, if the guy doesn't know, hey, those are my kids, then he's not going to do the work necessary to provide for those kids. And work is really demanding. So you can be totally responsible for the childcare and totally responsible for the resource provision, or you can have some kind of incentive for men to cooperate. And if there's no incentive, then men aren't just going to do what you want because it's good for you. There has to be some incentive for them to cooperate. And she had literally never considered the world from a man's perspective before. That was the first time anyone had ever explained to her that men had desires. Right. And that men cared about legacy and care about whether or not the children that they're providing for are in fact their children. And if they know that everything that they generate in this lifetime will be passed down to their children, they'll work 1,000 times harder. And she doesn't understand that. She doesn't understand incentive structure. And you actually need that. Most men, if they don't have a wife and they don't have children, they don't have a reason to work, will, like she's saying, sit around and play video games all day. If they don't, very few men are like internally self-motivated to just go out and have the drive to go out and create something. There's very few, single men who will just like sacrifice all of their time, energy, effort, and focused attention towards creating something. There's relatively few who will do that. There's some, but there's very few. And that's why I'm saying the best way a man can distinguish yourself is by and large a waste of time to just like pursue women as your primary goal. Because if you pursue a primary goal that's important to you and you build and create something that matters to you, women will come out of the woodwork to be like, what are you doing? 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 Try doing it better. It should be cleaner. You should put pillows in here. Why don't you have toilet paper? So that's just something to think about if you're a man. So you're way better off just going out and creating something that's like valuable to you and it ideally makes you some money. That's what I'm saying. In your 20s, just try out a bunch of shit, figure out what you're good at. And then your late 20s going into your 30s, pick the thing you're good at and just get as good at it as you possibly can. And then in your 40s, someone will pay you to do it, probably. Depending on what it is, obviously. Some things are a total waste of time no matter what. Like stand-up comedy. Don't do that. Let's see. All the while she votes to allow men in bathrooms and locker rooms. Yeah, that's the thing, too, is like all of this like leftist white woman hubbub about safety just rings hollow when they're clearly supportive of like sex pests getting access to women's spaces. Like, so all of this is just performative horseshit, which basically boils down to do what I want you to do. Do what I want you to do. Yeah. Oh, check. I'm gonna have to check my DMs at some point. Yeah. But yeah, no. Basically, basically, this is just a bunch of yeah, just a bunch of nonsense. I'm gonna have to. I have too many videos. Actually, I'm coming up on 2 hours. I have too many videos. I'm gonna have to break. I'm gonna have to break this topic up into another episode. Um, I've just come to the conclusion that Theo can't talk and read at the same time. That's true. It's funny because like before I read that comment, I was literally just like reading and not talking at the same time. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm glad you guys are paying it. Honestly, it is so like humbling that you guys are paying enough attention to me that you notice that. That's great. The whole reason I'm doing this is for attention. This makes no money. By the way, shout out to the Stream Elements tip jar. Go ahead and send me some money if you think I deserve to live inside. I deserve. I deserve to live inside. Yeah, I guarantee this woman reads smut, sexualizes abuse. Yeah, and I keep coming back to that. It's a great point by Strider. I keep coming back to that because I think one of the reasons BDSM is popular, all the BDSM things are like medieval punishments. It's getting like spanked with a paddle or hit with a flogger or like, getting restrained or whatever, or like the ball gag looks a lot like a scold's bridle to me. I think all of these like medieval punishments are coming from women who know that they're out of pocket. They know that they're badly behaved and they're absolutely shit desperate to have some kind of like punishment or boundaries or consequences put on them. I really think that that's it. I think that that's like coming from like a deep psychological place. Like they do not like the fact that all the men are pussified and they're absolutely desperate for assertive masculinity to emerge. And I think that the dark romance protagonist is sort of like an overcorrection of that. Because if you look at like old school romance protagonists, they weren't like, it wasn't like, fucking like evil murderer, covered in blood fucks you on top of the corpses of your enemies. It was like, the guy was like a pirate or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like graphic and violent and abusive in the way that it is now. Like girl porn has like really, really taken a turn. Really taking a turn. It's crazy. So yeah, I think that's like as we have sanitized society of absolutely everything's assertive or masculine, including, and you need assertive masculinity to maintain like social etiquette and boundaries and good behavior and to keep the barbarians out. I think one of the reasons they want dangerous people here because they want the men that are here to kind of like care enough to physically defend them. I really think that's it. But it's like, but again, we're fucking up because we're taking what women say at face value. And we know this. Anyone who's ever had a wife or girlfriend knows this. What women say they want and say will make them happy is never what actually makes them happy. They're expressing some kind of emotion. They're saying that to see how you react. And they want you to react in the way they want you to react. So it's never what they say it is. It's always something else. So be like, okay, I know it's not. So whatever they say it is, be like, I know it's not that. So what is it? Ask yourself that. You got to develop theory of mind. That's where I think so many men are fucking up because you're trying to deal with women like logically and take their words at face value. And that's not what it is. It's about the feelings they're having right now. And you got to figure out what is the feeling she's having right now. Okay, it's upset. I know that. And the thing is, you can't figure that out immediately. It's really hard. You may be able to figure it out quickly if you've known the woman for a while, but like it's very hard to figure that out unless you have the force field up. Because if you're getting emotional too, because you're getting frustrated, creates problems. You got to have that force field up and you got to like listen until you figure it out. And then you can kind of parse what she wants from that. But it's not whatever, it's not what she says it is. He has a head pillow and a sex pillow. That's true. That's true. The body pillows for the facility doggy style with very short girls. Hey, that's mind your business, Professor. Stop giving away the playbook. Yeah. 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 As far as the subway stabber, yeah. So we're looking at that. We'll cover this. I'm sure we'll do another Ironcast pretty soon. But I totally agree. I think it's like we do have a race problem in this country, but the race that's the problem is white women. It's white women that are the problem. It's not. That's the problem, is we basically decided that like the most easily offended white women get to decide the emotional temperature that all dialogue must take place and all political discourse must happen within the parameters that white women find palatable. So you can't, unfortunately, you cannot have like a meaningful adult conversation without risking upsetting someone. Especially if there are people in the conversation who are committed to being offended on other people's behalf. And then you absolutely can't. So you're basically saying that if no one gets offended, if no one can get offended during an adult conversation, then that means the most easily offended people are the ones who set the emotional temperature. And that can't be how it is. Because the most easily offended people just need to suck it up. It used to be they didn't even get invited to the table. We didn't even consider their opinions. Because they're not adults. They're not adults. There's it used to be the only women who had a seat at the table were women who had displayed a significant amount of toughness and who had the capacity for independent thought. Your Maggie Thatchers, your Margaret Thatcher type bitches, real tough bitches. They called her the Iron Lady. She was built different. And she was the exception, the notable exception. You should not draw an inference from that all women are like that. She was notable because she was an exception. Those are the kind of women who had a seat at the table, and they had it because they earned it. I think just by default, assuming that women's opinions are the most important ones is a catastrophic error. And the truth is, women don't even want you to do that. They want their opinion to be considered, but they don't want to be the executive decision maker. They just want to be listened to. And they're really I think they're really good at pointing out stuff, and they're good at noticing stuff, but you put them in the role of executive decision maker, then what you do is you take that hamster wheel of anxiety that exists in women's brains and you kick it into overdrive, because they're obsessed with all the things that could potentially go wrong. And if you're obsessed with all the things that could potentially go wrong, it makes it very difficult to make an executive decision. And sometimes you just need to be like, okay, this is what we're doing, we're going with it, and we'll deal with the consequences after that. And even if things aren't perfect, if it's like, oh shit, it's fucked up now, okay, well, we don't have time to sit and woe is me and throw a pity party about it. We got to keep it pushing to the next thing, right? So, Cave Bear sounds like a Professor Savage at alt account, so we can flirt with Theo. That's funny. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Here to keep you up. No one wants you here. No one wants that. No one wants me to be humble. I have to be by the way, I have to be egotistical just to be able to do this. Just to flip on a camera, talk into a microphone, and assume that anybody gives a shit. I have to be an egomaniacal lunatic. That is a necessary precondition for even attempting this. Stand-up comedy is such an arrogant, it's simultaneously arrogant and needy, because you have to stand up in front of a room full of people and just demand their attention and think you maybe deserve it, but also be not sure if you deserve it. And just, yeah. Yeah, right. So, anyway, let's see. Oh, apparently there's some new 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades level popular book right now. Something to do with milking minotaurs or something. Millennial women become a bull, BJ hooker, and what? To spoil it. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so there's that Minotaur. We'll have to do it. That might be a touch grass topic. We might have to dive into that. That might be have to do that on the Pale Show. All right, folks. I'm gonna do one more. We're gonna do one more video because I've already done 2 hours. Shit, I might have to save this for. Nah, fuck it. I already got it pulled up. So we're gonna do one more of these because I don't just do this for you people. I also dice this up for clips. So we're gonna do one more of these and then we'll get out of here. This is actually critically important. This is another millennial woman who can't handle reality. Go ahead, sweetheart. Tell us what the problem is.
What are we going to do?
By the way, this TikTok account is called Her Voice Matters. Stunning and brave. Go ahead.
The MAGA people when this is all over. Whether it takes a year or 10 or 15, the officials, that were complicit in this will all go to jail.
Right. Okay. So remember, this is important. So millennial women were raised on Harry Potter. They read Harry Potter and they saw The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, and they just never read a second book. Right. So they believe that. So they have this very comic booky idea of how the world works, where there's good guys and bad guys, and Harry and Dumbledore's army will always triumph over the Death Eaters in the end, no matter how long it takes. The underdog always wins. This is why they thought the Ukraine war was a good idea, because from their perspective, the good guy always wins, and Vladimir Putin is a big bad evil guy, and Ukraine is the good guy. So the good guy always wins, even if he's the underdog, right? They don't understand that, like, the guy with the biggest dick usually wins. Like, the guy who's more powerful and has more of a willingness to, sacrifice and do unspeakable violence. That guy usually wins. And that's why Vladimir Putin is going to win. So, anyway. But they don't understand. Like, she has it in her head that it is because she is part of Dumbledore's army and Trump is Voldemort or Hitler or whatever you want, whatever big bad evil guy you want him to be, right? Her side winning is inevitable. It will happen no matter how long it takes. She's agreed to dig her head and her heels in for 10 or 15, more years, right? But she knows that it is going to happen and everybody is going to be held accountable. And there will be a day where leftists, some black trans woman is president again. And, some drag queen judge puts all the MAGA people into prison or whatever, right? Or maybe it's like she's imagining some like HR representative. I imagine they want rule by HR department. It's just a bunch of like white millennial women who are like, yes, protect trans kids. Yes. A bunch of dog moms, respectfully. Shout out Selena. Sorry. Not you. I mean them. Or just, a bunch of wine aunts who are like ruling the country. That's her vision. And she believes that this is inevitable. Right. But but she's talking about the officials now. So what does she think about the average MAGA voter, though? Strider's asking the right question. What's she going to do with MAGA people? We're better armed and meaner than her. We won't go anywhere. Right. But she believes that because she read Harry Potter, Handmaid's Tale, she believes that the good guys always win, even if the good guys are the underdog. And she believes Trump is the big bad evil guy. Right. And shout out Full Metal Nate. Oh, we got a millennial white woman crashing out this time, right? So shout out the big bad evil guy, Strahd, if you will. Shout out Full Metal Nate. Check out D&D. Check out Curse of Strahd on his channel, featuring me, Iron Oxide, a bunch of other funny people. We get together, play D&D, and we always keep it upbeat. Lots of jokes, lots of good times, balancing it with serious notes. The tone is Iron Man 3. So that's the tone of that campaign. A lot of fun. Make sure to check that out. Anyway, so she's got this idea that the good guys always win, right? And she's the good guy, so she's definitely going to win. But she's really, because she knows the officials are going to go to jail. But what's going to happen to your everyday MAGA voter? Let's find out what she thinks should happen. Go ahead.
But what are we going to do with the everyday MAGA person that didn't technically break the law? Because I can't...
See how she said that? Didn't technically break the law. Didn't technically break the law. So what she means is what you've done by voting in the Trump's administration is you've done something so unspeakably immoral that you should go to jail. But there's no laws against it currently, and we have a problem with ex post facto laws in this country where they're unconstitutional. So you can't pass a law retroactively and say voting for Trump is illegal and then prosecute people for doing it. It's already not illegal. It's like for better, like she thinks this is bad. You are technically allowed to have your own opinions in this country. You are allowed to vote your conscience, even though she disagrees with that. She wishes that you weren't allowed to vote your conscience. But technically, there's no mechanism for putting these people into jail. There is but she thinks it's inevitable that your J.D. Vances, your Donald Trumps, your what's her face, the press secretary with the nose job and the titties who married that old guy, whatever. All those people are definitely going to jail. But the voters, no, isn't it? And she's almost disappointed to say it. She wishes there were, oh man, I wish it were illegal to vote for Donald Trump, but it's not for some reason. Shoot. Gosh darn it. What are we going to do? All right, go ahead, sweetheart.
Care about them, respect them, or even share a meal with these people ever again.
Wait, hold on. Let's hear that again.
Or even share about them.
Let's hear that again.
Everyday MAGA person that didn't
Yeah.
technically break the law.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't care about them, respect them, or even share a meal with these people ever again. So what do we do with them?
Good question. So you hear that? She can't care about you, respect you, or even share a meal with you ever again. Even if you were a family member, even if you were, a friend, even a coworker, whoever, just regular everyday Americans who happen to disagree with you on politics. She thinks that your politics are so evil that she will never want to live side by side with you in a country ever again. It's funny, like Jordan Peterson actually asked this question back in like 2016, 17. He was on like Bill Maher's show, and he asked the liberal panel in the audience, like, what are you going to do with Trump people? Like, after this is all over, because you're going to have to live alongside them. So what are you going to do? And they were like, we're going to just be mean to them, I guess. I don't know. Like, they hadn't considered the possibility that these were people who shared a country with them and that they're the majority. That's what's so crazy about Trump winning, especially the second time, is it's the majority of people who think this way. So she's saying the majority of Americans, she does not respect them, does not care about them, can't imagine herself having any kind of like meaningful personal connection with these people ever, or even like not even like a meaningful personal connection, but just like a casual, just like somebody you say what's up to at the grocery store, you know? And what's crazy is she definitely interacts with these people all the time. She definitely does, right? Because they're the majority. So they're everywhere. And if she's in like Wokistan, like a lot of us have lived in places like that, like I've in Spokane, Washington. If you live in any kind of, I live in Vegas now. Vegas is way better. Vegas, nobody gives a shit. It's just like not, there's Trump people, there's leftists, whatever, but we kind of, especially in stand-up comedy, like you'll have, it's like most stand-up comics are like left-wing and nihilistic and atheist or whatever, but I'm like kind of, like I'm Catholic and relatively right-wing by comparison, and I talk shit about women all the time, and I have no trouble hanging out with the comedians here. No trouble. So nobody gives a shit about politics here. So, but if you live in like one of these really woke cities in like the Northwest or, the East Coast or whatever, or you live in a blue state, then if you're a Trump person, you got to kind of keep it under wraps. If you're a MAGA person, you got to kind of like keep that shit to yourself. Whereas these people are totally fine being loud and out and in public about their beliefs, and they're just so arrogant that they assume everyone is going to agree. Is this working? Are you hearing me now? Okay, now it's working. Okay, what about now? Okay, now it's working. What happened? What was that shit, dude? What was that? What is happening? What is happening? This is the feminist agenda attacking me. What is what is happening? Feminist agenda is trying to silence me, everybody. That's what's happening. That's wow. Okay, I don't know what's going on. That's good. Fortunately, I'm actually more comfortable holding the microphone than I am having it on the stick. So that's fine. I may have to just unplug. What was I saying? I was really cooking too. That's so disappointing. I was on a roll. But basically they don't want to. Yeah, leftists don't want to live next to you at all. They have no interest in doing that. They don't like you. They don't even really see you as a person. And that's so disappointing because, well, okay, if anytime you hear somebody when you hear families have split up over politics, that's always so one-sided. That's always one-sided. It's always when you hear the right-wing side of that, it's always like, yeah, my sister, she doesn't talk to the family anymore. We really wish she would, but oh well, we love her. We don't have to talk about politics. It's just she's decided she can't accept us, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear the leftist side, it's like, my stupid, evil, boomer parents voted for Trump, and I just can't deal with someone who just doesn't think I deserve to have rights. It's always some blue-haired chick with a septum piercing who's just got it in her head that Donald Trump is a threat to civilization. Which, by the way, if you study American history for 2 seconds, they literally said that about Thomas Jefferson. They literally said that about Thomas Jefferson. The Federalists at the time that Thomas Jefferson was getting elected was oh my God, well, if Thomas Jefferson's going to be president, we might as well not even have a country. We might as well just fight a civil war. It's just as bad as having a king if Thomas Jefferson is president. And now Thomas Jefferson is one of our most celebrated founders. So, our politics have literally always been hysterical. And every guy who's ever run for president has been accused of being a threat to civilization by the people who opposed him. Every single one. Every single one. And it was always wrong, except for when women were running. They were a threat to civilization. Because they actually just don't have the boundary setting abilities. I also blame Greta Thunberg. Thank you, Full Metal Nate. Shout out Greta Thunberg. Do you guys see that video of them shooting off a flare and then it landed on the boat? They're just oh shit, there's a flare on the boat. And so then the report was that they got hit with a drone or something. And they just flared themselves. Which is hilarious. That's great. That's great. Professor Savage, I blame Greta's juicy tits at Full Metal Nate. Bro! Stop with leave that little retarded girl alone. Leave that little retarded girl alone. You go back to your wife. You're just not retarded wife. You have a perfectly normal wife, and you're just lusting after this retarded girl on the internet. Leave her to me. I'll take care of it. Honestly, I think I could set Greta Thunberg right. I really do. But the problem is she's got that Lord Farquaad hair. That's the issue. I can't get past Lord Farquaad hair. She's got those social justice tits. Okay, we're into it, but not. No, we're not doing the Lord Farquaad here. Anyway, I'll be honest with you that those mic issues really fucked with my. That really fucked with my momentum a little bit. I'm just glad I'm really comfortable. I'm actually more comfortable holding it like this than I am with it on the stand. I do this way more. No, those titty pics were not AI. Green-haired anti-liberal. That's a good question. Those titty pics were not AI. That was really, they were just really out there. She was wearing that weird fucking frog bucket hat for some reason. I don't know why. Clearly not dressing for the male gaze, but also somehow appealing to the male gaze. I think when women complain about the male gaze, they don't understand how flexible the male gaze is. A man will cheat on the love of his life with a roast beef sandwich he fishes out of an Arby's dumpster. The male gaze, like if people talk about the male gaze like it's oppressive, it's like, nah, dude, we will fuck anything. So just appealing to the male gaze is just like, don't, that's why feminists have to be so fat and ugly, is because that's what it takes to be repulsive to men. And by the way, feminists are fat, ugly, hysterical, rude, unpleasant, smell bad, and male feminists are still trying to bang them. And not only that, male feminists will change their whole personality to try to get at a feminist. They will change the whole way they do everything. They will completely abandon self-respect. They'll completely abandon having a spine. They will lie about literally every opinion they have just for an opportunity to bang an out-of-shape old fucking hose beast. That's crazy. That's the male gaze that you're so upset about. That's your so like male standards are too high. No, they are not. No, they are not. We're not nearly as picky as you think we are. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun. Yeah. She needs to be smarter and utilize her assets to get people to listen. Duh. That's right. That's right. Shout out to green-haired anti-liberal, our right-wing e-girl in residence. She knows all about that. Shout out. You're doing the Lord's work. She looks like a background character in One Piece. Oh, I will soon understand that. I will soon understand that reference because I am exposing myself to more anime. Shout out to Runaway Vagabond. He has a show. I swear it's not hentai, where he talks about anime, and I am trying to consume some of it. I am currently not a fan, trying to become a fan. Bite me, Theo. Don't tempt me with a good time. Shout out green-haired anti-liberal. She likes biters. That's good. All right, well, folks, it has been 2.5 hours of this, even if you factor in the 5 or 6 minutes I spent fiddling with the mic. I don't know how long I was talking before I realized that the mic was not working. Thank you, chat, for letting me know. That was retarded. I don't know why that was happening. That made me look like a fucking moron. But that's fine. I was able to get it back working in relatively short order, so that's exciting. I still have no idea what caused that. And so I tried unplugging it, plugging it back in again, and then switching to I just switched off the mic and switched back onto it again, and that worked. And then it cut out again, and I just switch off, switch back on again. It was just like weird. I don't know why. So Talk Studio's been giving me all kinds of trouble with the mic lately. I don't know what the fuck that's about. We gotta write somebody a letter about that. Anyway, I've been Theo Snodgrass. This has been my show, Theocracy. I'm gonna do another one of these on Thursday, 10:30 Pacific time. That's when I do them. Also, be on the lookout. We're gonna be dropping clips pretty soon. Clips from the show. That's what's gonna. You need to. Iron says you need a fucking XLR mic. I don't know what that means, but I will find out. I look forward to finding out. So we're going to be dropping clips. Watch out for some clips to be released over the course of the next couple weeks because I'm going to be taking some time off. I got to go to some friends' weddings. So I'm going to come back with a lot of good stories, a lot of good anecdotes, a lot of good analysis of human behavior, just like you're accustomed to hearing from me. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really look forward to that. Next time you want to see me again, remember I got Theocracy coming out Thursday, 10:30 Pacific time. Also, Saturday is going to be Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. That's my panel show. That's 11 a.m. Pacific time. What else? Friday, I'm going to be on the Weekly Rogues Gallery with Iron Oxide. Also, I'm guessing we're going to be dropping another Ironcast pretty soon, to go look out for that. My good buddy Iron Oxide, my partner in all crimes, foreign and domestic, he is really cranked up about this subway murder, and he was dropping a bunch of facts about that in the chat. So I'm not going to touch on that at all because I'm sure we're going to get to that the next time we do an Ironcast. You got to check out Ironcast. That show has been performing super well. People really seem to like it. People are really responding to it. So make sure to come on out for that. Hang out in the chat. I'm also not in the coming weeks. Every other Sunday is going to be Curse of Strahd with Full Metal Nate. And every Sunday is I Swear It's Not Hentai with Runaway Vagabond. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to follow me. Oh, I'm doing live comedy. I'm doing some tonight. I'm going to be at Tequila Laughs Las Vegas in Tequila Little Time tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. Just come out and check me out doing that. And then I'm going to be over at Buck's Tavern tomorrow doing a little stand-up comedy. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to come and check that out. It's good to be working again after a little bit of a dry spell. So it's going to be fun. Things are good. Thank you for watching. You guys take care. Oh, and enjoy the intro to my other show as the outro to this show. A little advertisement in case you want to entice you, in case you're not a Touchgrass viewer. Now you're going to get a little advertisement. Enjoy.
Look at that grass. Stanley's grass look good. This Johnson's grass look good. Well, look at my grass. No. Look at that grass.
Are we looking at Arz's cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And cause I was a gazillionaire and I like building so much, I cut that grass for free.
The species is dying, the birth rate is plummeting, women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking cat.
I know even more about grass.